Back here from the bottom line. Just wanted to give a special segment here for the major indices as part of the stock market update that we give on a regular basis here on the bottom line. Given that the calendar is about to turn to 2022, I thought it'd be a good chance really to look back at the year we've had, really back from the major indices, right? And let's use this as a gauge to see, maybe where we could be headed in 2022, right? So just starting off with the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones has historically been those value plays that we're accustomed to seeing in someone, let's say, like Berkshire Hathaway, right? Most of the holdings that are in Berkshire Hathaway are actually composed of the Dow, right? So Buffett's a big believer in value investing over the long term, and so looking back at the Dow here, from December 31st, 2020, it was at about 30,600, right? And right now where we're at, it's about 36,400, right? So we've hit almost all-time highs, I believe. If we haven't cleared it, we're very close to all-time highs, certainly. So really looking back, it's been 20% returns, and really keep in mind, mostly typically only return 7% per year, right? So 2020 was an incredible year with that dip and that massive surge back. 2021 has been much the same, maybe not the same sort of euphoria, but certainly outsized returns for a lot of value investors. And similarly, we can see that with the S&P, and the S&P obviously has a greater mix of stocks, having some of the larger corporations within the stock market included in it. But looking back at those returns as well, we started the year off at about 3,700 S&P, which, looking back last year, I remember we were thinking 3,700 is pretty high, right? But now looking at where we're at right now, we're at almost 4,800, and some are speculating we're going to cross 5,000 very soon, right? So again, 27% returns over the past year when historically it's been 7%. Phenomenal year again. All you really had to do was buy an index stock, right? Or like just buy funds like through BlackRock or wherever that are marked to the S&P, and you would have made good returns this year that outperformed many of the previous years, right? And the other one is the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ was everyone's darling in 2020 with that hype in tech stocks. We saw Apple go crazy, Microsoft go crazy. All the FANG stocks really went euphoric, and we've really never seen anything like it. And you can see that in the returns for 2021 as well. December 31st, 2020 to now, we've seen almost 58% growth, which is incredible and historic, right? So you've almost never seen 58% returns in an index, right? So that just shows what a great year it's been for some of the large tech companies. And then what I also wanted to talk about is the IWM, and the IWM really is focused on small to mid cap companies that trade on the U.S. stock exchange, right? So looking at that, again, it's been positive, but really over the past year, it's returned about 14%. And one of the key reasons why it hasn't performed as well as those major indices is because we've seen in the market there's a little bit of a disconnect with a lot of the growth stocks from the value stocks or well-established companies, right? And you see companies like DraftKings, for example, down over 70%. Palantir's down significantly from its highs, Virgin Galactic, all these growth-oriented companies that don't necessarily have the cash flows now have been decimated. And I think a large part of that is because investors are factoring in potential interest rate hikes, which would naturally affect valuations and discounted cash flows, right? So you haven't been really seeing as much success in those small and mid-cap companies. But really, again, from a macro perspective, it was a very successful year for the stock market in general. But really, something to be careful about is, what I just mentioned, that disconnect with those growth and innovation companies versus, those well-established juggernauts that we have. And so it begs the question, whether those growth stocks are going to experience a resurgence back, or you might end up seeing some of these major indices sort of claw back down to sort of come to reality, so to speak, right? And again, investors were calling for this late last year as well, and again, another incredible year. but it's definitely something to keep your eye on to see whether or not we can continue to make new highs in these major indices. Given that a lot of those growth and innovation companies have experienced a significant drawdown from their all-time highs.